us a little bit about yourself, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Jill, I enjoyed the last show as well. I thought it was really fascinating. So, yeah, I've got a variable background. I've worked in a few different areas, and it's been a journey. My journey's involved working in sports at the highest level, and I've also worked in other areas too. I've studied the physical training, sports conditioning aspects of training, but I've also studied the psychological aspects too. So over the last 20, 25 years, I've studied various modalities in the field of human behaviour, ranging from NLP, hypnosis, to CBT, to psychology, and now I'm sort of moving towards neuroscience and epigenetics. So I suppose the last show, some stuff that you talked about, kind of there were parallels with some of the stuff I've done, although albeit I'm more of a scientific background. And you know, it's been an interesting journey, and I'm sort of pleased to be on the show, and it's great to be doing the Friday sports show on Salford. It's
at 6 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, it is on Friday. So
yeah.
you know, I've really enjoyed working with Clifford Tyrone as he's on the radio, and I think we gel really well. And the goal is to promote sports in the local community. I'm very passionate about helping the local community. Sports a big part of my life, and sport really helped me a lot growing up as a teenager. I got a lot of self-esteem. Ironically, I wasn't academic as a teenager. I would go on to university as a mature student at 23, and I'm still studying now. I don't know what they call me now. So the point being is that sport was a good driving force for me in terms of building self-esteem, because I didn't have that academia. A lot of people don't believe that. You know, now I've sort of written a lot of manuals and books and that sort of stuff, but the truth be told, I wasn't always that way. But I put my head down and focused, and I've been on radio before. I've been pretty fortunate, worked on a number of different radio shows and broadcasts, and Salford is up there. I think it's a great field, his community field, and I'd like to get the local community involved and get them out there and promote what's going on in the area. So please do get in touch with the station if you're involved in sport and in the area, and if we could sort of cover and help as much as we can, it'd be fantastic. And we'll obviously cover the big news around the world too. The Premier League is a big interest. Football's a big sport in the UK, and we'll cover the rugby league and the rugby union and all sports too. So the main aim of the show is to promote local sports, but also give people an insight into the world of sports too. And between Clifford and myself, I think a lot of experience and a lot of contacts in the field, and certainly I'll be looking to I'm still involved in the game now, so I'll be looking to speak to people in the game and get interviews too, and give people insight to what goes on into sport. And I'm going to touch on preparing, like we did last week, now and again, mentally for sport and physically for sport. So look at inside to the world.
Let's just talk about that a little bit, because you said about the sort of psychology of sport and stuff, and you know that side. I mean, how do you think people? I'm guessing that sort of in sportsmen, sportswomen are more open to that kind of side of things now, whether that didn't used to be, maybe.
Yeah, I think when I first got involved in sport as a performance coach, conditioning coach, many years ago now, we're probably talking about the mid to late 90s, the mental side of the game was new. Now, everywhere you go, it's an instrumental part of preparation, and you guys touched on the exams on the last show, and the young people doing exams, and whatever the situation is, it is what it is. And I think for me, I actually spoke in a committee meeting last night in psychology about introducing a pastoral sports psychology type role for young people in schools, to focus on the exams, to focus on being the best they can be. And the system isn't geared up for certain people, but equally we can do better, I think, across a broad range of areas. And I think that you look at all the top athletes and sports people these days, they're all doing stuff like mindfulness, and they're all mentally aware, and that's a big part of being the best you can be. So mental skills is a huge part of the game. It sort of is just about in every professional team, and amateur teams too. Everyone wants to be the best they can be. So it's here to stay, and I think that we're only scratching the surface. So, you know, these days, but also, you know, there's the other side of it too, and players, and they have lives too, and they go through things. They go through bereavements, divorces, breakups. They have issues outside the game, and there's a line between, say, clinical and performance, and that's always a difficult line, really. So certainly in my involvement in clubs, there's been times when you're working with players, and obviously these players come along and they're human beings, and they have anxiety issues and depression issues, and I guess it's sort of making a judgment of whether to refer the performer onto someone clinical or sort of carry on performance goals. And there is a line between the two, and I think it's important to distinguish that. And I think sometimes people look from the outside looking in, and certainly in my experience, I've heard people say about certain performers who are off form and they get paid a lot of money, and they do, and a lot of them are privileged to have that, but they're still human beings. And I think the bottom line is that, you know, certainly mental health doesn't discriminate, and, you know, there are biological reasons or the psychological reasons, the sociological reasons for people who suffer. And I think in those situations, I think it's really been quite good that certain sports people have come out in the open and talked about their struggles, for sure. And I think that some of the theories of, you know, yesteryear have changed about mental health, and technology certainly playing a big part in neuroscience, understanding the brain better as we go along. But there's still a lot to learn. I think for me, definitely in sport, I always encourage players to get the right treatment if they're going through trials and tribulations, because we've got the external world, we make meaning of the world, and irrespective of what you make every week, and if you've got, you know, biological factors that affect us, if you've got psychological factors, people have problems in their life, then they're going to underperform, and that spills into their performance. But for some players, you know, everyone's different, and I think for me, performance is a big part of it too, setting goals, imagery, just being your best self, really. So that's certainly been a big part of the work I've done in sport, preparing mentally and physically. And I think mentally is equally, if not more important than physically. It's just the car analogy. The fastest car in the world, you can't drive it, got no petrol, you won't get very far. So psychological preparation is really important, for sure, definitely. And certainly in all the years I've sort of been involved in sport, when players underperform, we have a holistic approach, look at different things that could be going wrong, things are going well, and obviously differentiate what we can do for the person and what we think someone else should do, who's appropriately qualified to help that person in that area. It could be nutrition, it could be a psychological thing, it could be something they need help somewhere else. So that gives you a bit of an idea of me, and we're looking forward to the show. It's no 2 weeks the same. We'll have plenty of guests, and it'll be an exciting, thought-provoking show, and we want to get people involved, you know.
I think, I mean, as you know, Jimmy, one of my sort of main things as a station manager here is to include schools. I really want sort of all of our local schools out there to be involved. Because we want everybody to be involved in their local radio station, but I think it's a great way to interact with the kids and their families and schools as well. You know, sort of through the sport that they're doing, because sports, as we all know, is ongoing throughout the year. You know, we just pass from one type of sport to another, don't we? And so that's really important.
No, it is for sure, and it's certainly an area I'm passionate about, and it matters a lot to me. And I remember going back as a 15-year-old myself, having all the trials and tribulations. We had a number of problems in the household, and Dad got injured at work, and Mum was really ill. We had no one working, and we were struggling for money, and it meant me taking extra work on the weekend, and my grades were suffering, and it was tough, and it felt like there was no way out. It was like, well, you try and double up with school, and you know, people talk about kids having pressure now, and they do, and I don't deny that, but we had pressure too, and the pressure that we had, and you're working 12-hour days on the weekend and doubling up and going to school, and when you finish school, you're going to work in the factory, and it's pretty damn tough as well. And for me, it's not to compare, we're all going for our own thing, but the point being, we've all had pressure, and for me, the reason I'm passionate about working with young people and getting them involved in sport is that a coach took me on side one time. I sort of got involved in the wrong crowd, and as you do, and when things are going tough, and a coach took me on side one day and said, well, you know, you've got potential to do something in your life. You got talent, you got ability. Lose that crowd. And I listened, and having listened to what the coach said, it sort of led me on a path to studying about the mind myself, and I felt I achieved a lot of things I set out to achieve, but I always said at one point I'm going to go back and help young people, because if I can reach one person, if I can just reach one person, because a 15-year-old shouldn't be going through what I was going through at that point. You know, it was tough, the pressure cooker, and I felt if I could reach one person, then I've done my job. So a big part of youth development has been a big part of my professional life, working at different sports clubs, football clubs predominantly.
I think, actually sort of like just this chat now, just this conversation, just shows the importance of sport in many people. I know it's not for everybody. We've all got, we're all different, but a lot of people can use sport to good effect, can't they, for many different reasons on many different levels. It
is, and it brings the community together as well. I think that the thing is, people sort of think of sport, they think of the big premiership football clubs, and for me, in my opinion, I think in a way they've kind of gone away from local community. I think that it's hard to get to premiership game to start with, and the finances involved. You go there, tickets aren't cheap to take a family and that sort of stuff, and it's not easy. You got good, honest, hard-working people who love the game, and I think for me, sport's not just about the competitive elements, also the social integration, and you get families playing together, badminton or cricket or a bit of football, and go and swim and whatever.
Yeah.
And it really helps psychologically. The endorphins in the brain, serotonin in the brain. It's been proven scientifically that there's potential correlation between activity and serotonin and dopamine in the brain. So obviously it's not going to happen to everybody, but there is correlations there. So it makes a lot of sense to get out there, get some fresh air, and even the winter draws in some nice winter days. It's fresh. You get out there and you get a blast of fresh air, and you're going to generally sleep pretty well if you've done that, and that's a big thing for me, and it brings the family together. And these days, we see a lot of people on the social media, and it's a great thing, social media, I think, to a point, but equally it's that fine line between being too much. And I think getting out there, bringing families together and all that sort of thing, and communities together, it doesn't have to be your thing, sport, but the value of sort of that communal spirit. And I think for me, I think definitely Salford, there's a communal feel around this area, I think so. And I think that certain towns are losing that. And it'd be a shame for this city, this town here, to lose that spirit, because I think that's what gels, and that's what is important in terms of, bringing people together of all walks of life, and we can all just lose ourselves in a game.
What this takes me back to a few weeks ago, actually, this conversation, in that I think you're right. I think we have got something special in Salford, not just because I'm from Salford, but I think we have. I went to an event which was involving the Lowry Theatre and a local area, it was in Odsall in Salford, across from the Quays, and they had their pop-up theatre there. And I went to several events over the course of the weekend, and what struck me was that, it is one of the fastest growing areas apparently in the UK, that area, and so loads of new people within the area from all over the world, actually, and from all walks of life. But the same thing that kept coming out was actually how embracing Salford were of new communities. And I think that if we can continue with that, we're going to continue to sort of have that sort of good community that reduces social isolation and is actually good and beneficial for your health, because nothing's worse than being isolated, is it? And I think that's one of the, as much as people talk about all the friends on Facebook, you're isolated in a room just looking at a picture, basically. You're being with people, whether or not it's sport or whatever else it is. Being in a social setting, and sport is great for that, even if it's only a walking group in the park. And there's a lot of that going on around in this area. It is really, really good, very good for your, sort of your well-being.
And for your self-esteem as well too. I think that confidence, self-esteem, and I think it's really important to from the social element. Human beings are social creatures, so to speak. We're not really, the brain's not really designed for us to be on our own. I think it's really important for people to integrate and make friends, and certainly playing sport. I've got friends that I don't speak to very often anymore. As you do, you kind of go your own way, but when we see each other every so often, we pick up where we left off. And I've known them since 10, 11-year-old, and from sporting teams, and you never forget them. And I think it's really, really important in terms of character building. You build characters, and you don't have to be the most talented player in the world. You have to be the most gifted person in the world to enjoy it. And when you see families participating in tennis and kicking a ball about, or just getting out there and enjoying themselves, it's just so morale boosting. And I think it's really important. I think the backbone of any society is the communal spirit, and once you start losing that, and there's been plenty of evidence to suggest that the correlation between that non-communal spirit, urbanised areas and mental health. There is a correlation there. The research suggests that. So you see in areas where there is a communal spirit and integration, and you see a lot more positive effects in the literature and the research in terms of the general well-being of the demographics. So I think where that's concerned, that's really important. So it doesn't have to be your in thing, your passion, and sport doesn't have to be that. I think just getting out there, and it's fantastic when you see parents watching the kids at school and the kids are participating, they're enjoying it, or the mum takes the kids down to play some football with the dad, or they go as a family and they get together and they meet other people, and it's a really, really good thing. And I think that's what we're going to promote on the show. It's not just about the Premier League, it's not just about Premiership football, it's actually about the grassroots too, promoting the grassroots level, communal level, because it's easy to promote the Premier League and there's plenty of coverage around that, and that's an important and integral part of society, definitely in this country. But also I think it's really important to get people more active and walking and enjoying themselves as much as they can do.
Let's play a tune and we'll come back and talk some more, because that's all really interesting.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10. Feel the earth move, and then hear my heart burst again. For this is the end. Drowned and dreamt this moment, so overdue I owe them. Swept away, I'm stolen. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall. Skyfall is where we start.
advertise your business, promote your company or market your project? Well, you can do just that with Salford City Radio. All you have to do is get in contact with us, which couldn't be easier. Email us at info@salfordcityradio.org, call 0161 793 2939, or you can click on the advertising tab at our website at www.salfordcityradio.org.
Better than I do. Better than I
Well, there we are. We're nearly coming to the end of the hour. We've got about 15 minutes left, but it's been a very interesting conversation, this, because we don't really get time to talk like this, because we're usually training and recording shows.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's been fascinating to bounce a few ideas and talk about the direction we're going to take the Friday sports show. And we're open-minded. We want feedback from the listeners, and we really want to get people involved. That's the main priority. The main goal is to get the listeners involved and the community involved, and just make something special happen. And we're going to improve participation of people in sports if we can get people more involved in the show and build a nice communal field. And we're underway. And I think that the experience we've got and the platform we have in the area is fantastic, really. And you've got also other, you've got the Salford Football Club, the rugby club as well. So it's always been a traditionally strong sporting area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Salford,
yeah.
always.
I think, sort of lots of working class areas and there's a large sort of working class population sort of, and always has been in this area. But I think, we are quite passionate. We've got obviously 2 football teams as well in Manchester down the road, who lots of people in Salford support too. So we're very lucky.
Yeah, and in the demographic, there's a lot of sporting teams. You've got in the Championship, you've got the likes of Bolton not far away. You've got League One, and you've got your Rochdales, your Bear. All these teams aren't a million miles away, and Oldham's and that sort of stuff. So the Northwest always has been blessed with a lot of great sporting teams. The infrastructure of sport, you've got English sport, which is not a million miles away, and
we've got Lancashire cricket as well, not far away there.
The cycling too is not too far away, and that's been a gold medal factory for England and Great Britain. So they are phenomenal. So Manchester, Salford, the Northwest, it's always been a traditionally strong sporting area. What I'd like to sort of see more of is, I think that traditionally you've got the working class sports, the football, the rugby league even. You've got other sports too, like tennis, that traditionally has been more of a sport played by, you could argue, at least in my experience many years ago when I used to work as a conditioning coach part-time down in Surrey, you could argue that it's probably more participated by middle-class areas. But I think for me, if England's going to succeed in producing tennis players, we want to get people from the urban areas involved and getting a tennis racket and getting to a track and doing track and field. And there's a wonderful track not far away from here as well. So I'd like to see people sort of get out there and have a go, not just to be the next superstar, because you just never know. In talent ID, you never know what anyone's capable of doing until they participate. But also just getting out there and making use of these wonderful facilities. And sometimes you sort of drive past these great facilities and they're sort of underused. I mean, all that said and done, a lot of the facilities are booked up and people are going swimming, they are going to the velodrome and having a go, they are doing all that. But also you've got like some great outdoor facilities that kids can go there, and parents, and have a kick about and get out there and just enjoy themselves. And I really want to make an effort to promote the non-mainstream sports too. There's a lot of things that people do that don't get any press coverage, and it's a shame because you've got karates and taekwondos and all these sports.
Some great clubs for all this kind of stuff around local.
There is, and I think for me that platform for them to sort of showcase and talk about their achievements, giving them a platform to get out there and talk about the wonderful things they've achieved. And you've got squash, you've got badminton, you've got so many sports that don't really fit into the mainstream, and every 4 years they come out at the Olympic Games and we see them and we get hooked on it. We sometimes, depending when the Olympics are, early hours in the morning, you're watching people play badminton or stuff you wouldn't normally watch.
And gymnastics precisely. As well. Lots of clubs.
Exactly, and I think it's really important that we support these clubs throughout the year, every day. They're just not every 4 years we sort of get all engrossed and we all become experts in these sports. But for me, there's people working hard, really, really hard, day in, day out. It's not easy, and I think that encouraging people to volunteer if they can and give some of their time. And I know it's not easy. We all work a number of hours and life's not easy, but I really think there's a really intrinsic value of getting involved in sporting teams where you can, and getting involved in gymnastics and badminton and all these different sports that are out there. To be honest, it creates a whole new life for people who don't do that. Sometimes if you join a local club, it does create a whole new life, a new social life. They have events. It's not just about actually the sport, is it? It's a lifestyle around that. I think so, and it's almost like a family. It really
it's another community that
it is.
An extended community within your community.
And I think that's really important. You've got that family feel. You're out there and you meet people, you make lifelong friends, and I think for young people it's giving them something to do, and it's so important they're occupied. Young people, teenagers, I think sometimes they get this is my opinion, I think sometimes they get a bit of a hard rap in the media. I think young people, we know, in brain maturation. The brain's not fully developed until about 24, 25. So they feel what we feel as adults, but they don't process it as well as we can do because the brain isn't as developed, well, the frontal cortex anyway. And I think that, you know, in my experience, there's a lot of good young people out there, and I've run initiatives in the past and to get young people involved in sports, and once you give them a chance, you give them something to focus on, you'll be surprised how well they enjoy it and get involved. Just giving them that sort of outlet. And I think that it's like everything, you know, you got, you know, some people do fall away, they fall by the wayside, and I think that's really important to have a group of people who can bring people back in again in terms of, you know, social behaviour, adaptive behaviour in the community. And I think that that's a big vehicle for that. And if they're focusing their energy on a Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon, or they come home from school, just have an hour or two to have a run out or a kick about. And there are facilities out there. Obviously, they can always improve facilities. There's no end. There's, you know, where do you draw a line? But there are some great players out there, and I think that's a big priority to be involved. Yeah,
I think we're really lucky where we are in Salford. I mean, we've got all the water sports down at the Quays as well, which is not very far away. I think because we're kind of surrounded by, as you said, you quite rightly said, you know, Bury, Bolton, Manchester. We've got all these wonderful areas who've all got something rich to bring, and you know, we really, the world's our oyster.
No, it is indeed. It is for sure. And I mean, what I would say there, you know, people listening for sure, and I'm sure some people are wondering and thinking, okay, well, some sports aren't accessible, aren't easily accessible. They cost money, and you know, definitely if you want to take up cycling, it's not cheap to get a bike or that sort of stuff. So
you can get a cheap bike to start with, but what happens, because I know this from my own family, is once you get into sport, and I'm sure you understand, and it's the same in all sports, so if you really take to it, then you start to want to invest more in it, don't you? Because it becomes more an importance in your life.
It does.
And it can get very expensive. But what I would say about cycling is, it's you know, where your money should be is your helmet and your protective gear.
I think so. And that's, you know, it's an expense. And tennis, you've got to buy a racket, and cricket, you got equipment to buy. So I mean, football, you know, back in the day, we used to get a couple of jumpers and a ball run away type thing, and it's not easy, and you know, people are working hard. And
I mean, for some of that stuff, though, Jim, you know, I mean, I will say, because we've got a bag of cricket stuff that you know, my lad had.
Yeah.
You buy all this stuff, and then they might have it for so long. Sometimes they outgrow it. Yeah. It's good that sort of lots of the clubs do have a day where you can buy some used stuff, and it's hardly used because I mean, they don't really, because the seasons are short, aren't they?
I think
it's always worth looking at that, or you know, sort of like things like eBay, maybe.
Yeah,
if money's a bit tight.
I think so, and also if clubs can be, and I know clubs are under pressure themselves to run and balance the books, and certainly I work for a semi-professional club as well at the moment, Bowyer. I do some performance coaching there, and I'm there as and when I can, and it's tough, you know, it really is to sort of like balance the books for the manager. Brent Peters does a fantastic job there, and we've got Felgate, who used to coach. City's involved there too, is doing a great job, and it's not easy because, you know, the runnings of the club is not cheap, and the perception of football having money, it's really is only at the top. I mean, the clubs underneath that, they really struggle. So we do what we can, and certainly we encourage young people to join, and the reality is that these clubs, some of them, it is really week to week. It's sort of balancing the book, so it's not easy. So for me, I would encourage where funding's available to, I know that's not easy too, and we've certainly in the past looked at initiatives and tried to get funding available to help the young people have something to channel their energy, and that's a really important thing. And I think that at least making them aware of the clubs they can go to. So I really encourage any coaches of any sports, and I'm sure we haven't mentioned all of them, but you know, whether it's gymnastics or swimming or cycling, whatever it is, athletics, do get in touch and let us know, and let us know what you're all about and where young people can contact you, where they can go, because a lot of people don't know. It's the awareness, and that's the big thing. A lot of people think, well, where can I go? I
mean, and again, sort of community radio, not only the sports show, but just across the board can give that information out. Yeah. If anybody wants to contact us and give us any sort of information, sort of they can contact us on info@salfordcityradio.org, and we'll always give out information about what's going on in and around the local area.
Yeah, I think so, and that'd be a great thing, and certainly we can all do our part, and I think that if we can all do our part and to improving things, it can only be a good thing, really, and certainly, you know, I do encourage any coaches listening to drop us an email and let us know what you've got going on and what tournaments, competitions, if there's any trials available, if there's any opportunities for players or volunteers, and we'll shout it out. And I think that's really important because every club can do with an extra pair of hands all the time. And that's not to say people haven't got enough to do already, but the point being is that, you know, if we can spare an odd hour here or there and see what we can do, then it does go a long way. And young people do appreciate it. I think this misconception sometimes in the media, but young people, you know, and I think for the most part, young people do appreciate it. They do. They might not say it. It might not be cool to say it. I think deep down inside, in my experience, I've worked in youth development for many years in sports. I've got friends I've made and from coaching, and certainly my experience of working in football. Some of the players are on my social media now, and we go back like 15, 20 years, and you sort of know them when they're 5, 6 year old, and now they've got families and that sort of stuff, and it's wonderful to see, and they keep in touch, and they still have the same sort of respect they had back then. You know, the 14, 15-year-old,
make friends and make friends for life.
It's fantastic,
I'm really sorry, Jim, but we're coming up to the end of the programme now. It's been really great to talk to you. So anybody listening, do get in touch with us. Get in touch, you know, sort of use that info at salfordcityradio.org account if you want to sort of get any information to Jim and his team on a Friday, and do listen to that programme, which was out 6 while 7 on a Friday.
It is indeed, we're on 6 o'clock till 7 this Friday.
And actually coming up next after the news is Ian Rothwell with a really interesting show, same as usual as he has